You may be asking what imperialism is. Imperialism is what you see below, a policy of extending a higher or more superior country's power and influence through diplomacy or military force. The Europeans were very shady. They were perfectly fine with telling lies or doing anything they needed to in order to make sure they were at the top. You will be hearing about Japan, along with China, and helping us determine if the outcome was negative or positive. Japan had backlashes at the introduction of liberal values regarding political participation, women's status, individualism, and other Western liberal values. Japan's expansion was undertaken in an environmental imperialism. Japanese imperialism differed because it was the first non-Western imperial power and rose to imperial status after facing colonization by the West. Like Western powers, Japanese expansion was fueled with social Darwinism, stating that only the strong would survive, and racism. The Japanese needed to ruthlessly protect themselves, which meant siding with the Western powers and acting as they did to other Asian countries. This eventually led to the Meiji Restoration. The Meiji Restoration was a chain of events that restored imperial rule to Japan in 1868. The Restoration led to enormous changes in Japan's political and social structure. The Meiji Restoration accelerated industrialization in Japan, which led to its rises as a military power by the year 1905, under the slogan of enrich the country and strengthen the military. In this case, imperialism was negative for Japan, but I guess you could say it changed for the better eventually. Moving on to China. I honestly think the Chinese were stronger than the Japanese in this situation. When the Europeans came to them wanting to trade, China refused because they already had everything they needed. Europe would not give up, though. They were determined to find a way, which was opium, the drug. The Europeans brought the Chinese opium, something they didn't have. The Chinese were becoming severely addicted to this drug and became weak. This nearly destroyed the Chinese economy. Western imperialists then cracked open Chinese closed-door policy and brought the open-door policy, meaning China was forced to open more ports to trade and also cede adjacent territories to the West. The Chinese people were furious and humiliated. A secret society of common peasants formed an underground movement to fight the foreign devils. This is where the Boxer Rebellion came into action. They were a secret society known as the Fists of Righteous Harmony, attracted thousands of followers. Foreigners call the members of this society boxers because they practiced martial arts. The boxers also believed that they had a magical power that bullets couldn't touch them. Millions of spirit soldiers, they said, would soon arise from the dead and join their cause. At first, their only task was to overthrow the imperial Qing government and expel all the foreign devils from China. But the Empress Queen Cixi, however, decided to use the boxers. Through her ministers, she encouraged the boxers. Soon, a new slogan took place: support the dynasty, destroy the foreigner. Instead of standing down like Japan, this meant war to the Chinese. The Opium Wars of 1840 to 1850 ended in a humiliating defeat for the Qing dynasty and foretold the end of the empire. I also think that in the Chinese case, this was a negative situation.